here, this is the Mishnah that discusses it. And that is, in theory, if I do an act and then I make it conditional, conditional is just words. I said that this act that I just did, I gave you a get, I gave you Kiddushin on the condition that something will happen. How do words have the capacity to break an act that I did? The act was I gave you a get, but I said a few words, and if you don't give me something within a certain amount of time, this get is not going to be a valid get. How do words break a Maisa? So according to Rameir, there's a very, very special prescription that you have to follow. And if you don't follow this prescription, you can't. Where do we learn that the entire concept generally of Tanai? We learn that from a story of the 2.5 tribes who wanted to have the other side of Israel. They wanted in Gila, they wanted to have their share. They needed large tracts of land because they had lots of cattle. And they gave up their share in Eretz Yisrael, in Eretz Canaan, in order to have their share in the Transjordan in Eretz Gilad. So we look at the story, Meir says, and every single detail in that story teaches us something about Tanaim. So we learn 5 things. The Meir says, Kol Tanai, in the Mishnah, Kol Tanai, She'eni Tanai b'nei Gad b'nei Reuben, if you don't follow their prescription, ain't the Tanai. Shenemer says, Vayemer Aleim, Moshe said, Im Yavru b'nei Gad b'nei Reuben, says, if you will cross over, then you will get a share in this land. And if you don't cross over, you won't get a share in the land. So he doubled up the Tanai. Now, L'chayda, it's redundant. The moment you said, if you will cross, you'll get a share, we have a rule, Miklal, Hein, after Shemei Alav. Then we can infer, if you don't go, you won't get it, obviously. And yet Moshe Rabbeinu spelled it out. Every word in the Torah is so calculated. In other words, the only way that the Tanai can break the mice is if you spell it out both ways, what happens? If you don't go, then you're going to lose out. So therefore, it's clear from here that if you don't go across with him, then you will get in Eretz Yisrael and you won't get in Eretz Gilad. So you have to spell it out. We learn four other dinim. So we learn you need double Tanai. We learn that you need the Tanai Kedim Lamaisa. You have to first couch it. If you first did the Maisa, the act, you talked about the act, and then you talk about the Tanai, it's too late. The Maisa is stronger. It's only if you cushion it first, you put a buffer there. You put in the Tanai and then the Maisa. Actually, according to the Rambam, when we say Maisa, it means the actual giving of the get. If you gave the get and then you made it conditional, it's too late. But the wording doesn't matter. But most Rishonim learn, no, the wording itself, the Tanai has to be before the Maisa. Third, the Hein has to be before the Lav, the positive before the negative. Moshe Rabbeinu said, if you go in, this is going to happen. The fourth thing is you cannot have Tanai and Maisa b'davar echad. You cannot have that the Tanai and the Maisa are about the same thing and they contradict each other. Here, you want to go to Gilad, that was the Maisa, and the Tanai is you have to go fight a war in Eretz Yisrael. 2 different things. You can't have the Tanai and Maisa opposing each other. Teiser and Avov and other Rishonim explain that that's talking about only where the Tanai contradicts the Maisa. For example, I'm going to give you the get on the condition I want the paper back. So then the Tanai opposes the Maisa. But if you say, I'm going to give you an esrig, and after you finish with the esrig, I want it back, the Tanai, even though it's both talking about the esrig, there the Tanai and the Maisa are not clashing. I'm taking the esrig back afterwards. And so on. We also know that the Tanai has to be something you can use through a shliach. If you don't, we had about a chalitza in Sechta Nazir. If you can make a Tanai on chalitza because you cannot have someone else, a shliach, doing a chalitza for you. So Tanai can only work where you have the power to make a shliach. Because over here they asked Yeshua and Yeshua spoke to Moshe, whatever, so on and so forth. Anyway, argues. He says no. That really, argued. Big Machlik is arguing only on this concept of Tanai Kafel, or he's arguing in everything. Rashi learns the only argument Tanai Kafel. He says, no. What do you have to Tanai Kafel for? The moment you said, if you do this, you'll get it. Obviously, if you don't do it, you won't get it. I don't have to spell it out. So how come over here in the Torah spelled it out? But over here, Moshe Rabbeinu had to spell it out. He had to tell them that if you don't go, at least you'll get a share in Canaan. Because if it would have just said, if you go across, okay, you'll get your share in Gilad. So what would happen if they don't go at all? If they don't go, what do they lose out? You can learn, not only are they going to lose the land in Gilad, either the extra land or even they want the entire massive land, they only get a small piece, or they lose the entire Gilad. They'll also lose their share at Yisrael if you didn't go to war. So Moshe may have to spell it out. But if you don't, at least you'll get a chelik in Eretz Yisrael. But nothing to do with Tanai Kafel. Whether he argues on the other 4 things that we said you learn out is a machlekes Rishonim as well. Sorry. If not that, yes, but you get nothing. Says he said the right. Has the right thing. There's nothing redundant here. No. If you're right, that the only reason Moshe Rabbeinu spelled it out is to tell them that you're going to get something. If you don't go, you'll still get at Yisrael. Let me just say, and if you don't cross, you'll get amongst like everybody else. Eretz Canaan, why did it spell out the Eretz Canaan? Why would you think they wouldn't get Eretz Canaan? Why they're different than everybody else? It must be the whole thing he said, not to tell them you're getting a shade, tell them to spell out exactly what's going to happen if they don't do it, so that the Tanai can break the Maisa. But Rabbi Chanin Gamliel says no. Eloi Kostav Rachmana, but it's going to have to add the word that's Canaan. You know why? Because there's two things here. They're getting a share in Gilad, they're getting land in Gilad, and they're getting land at Yisrael. If he wouldn't have said the word Eretz Canaan, you know what I would have thought? Hava mina, when it says in the pasuk v'noichazu b'soichem be'eretz Gilad, I would have thought, okay, if you don't go to war, you'll get a small share in Gilad. You're not going to get the entire tract of land there in Gilad. You'll get a 12th. Not you right now are getting to you 2.5 shvatim. I'm going to divide the entire land, but if you don't go to war, you'll only get a 12th, whatever you deserve. Each one of you will get only your equal share. I'll let it Canaan, but it's so. Why would you get anything? Like Rashi says, you despised it. You don't even want to go to war there, or you didn't fight for it. Why should you get anything? So we would have thought. That's why they have to spell out. But you also get Eretz Canaan, not because the teacher tonight kofel. When it says here B'Soichechem amongst the Eden, why would you think they wouldn't get Yisrael? B'Soichem automatically includes Yisrael as well, not just Gilad, but Yisrael. Kol Heichad Yisluchu Mashma. The word Zechem already takes care of that. Eretz Canaan is extra, therefore to teach me that the concept of tonight kofel. We learned. Reb Chaim says a little bit differently. Marshall, he wants to give an example. While a person is dividing his land amongst his children. He said, I want this son to Yashin field X. My other son, Yashin, so the Y. My third son should give an extra $200 because that's the best quality, premium land. He'll get Z, field Z. Okay, but then he spells out. But if my third son does not give that extra money to get field Z, then Yiddish im echa b'shar nechasim, then he'll go back to everybody else and he'll get the first fields and divide equally. Me goram loyli yorish im echa b'shar nechasim. Why taka does he get? No, if I wouldn't have spelled it out, I would have thought field X. If field X goes to the first son, field Y goes to the second son. Field Z, the son has to give $200 extra. If he doesn't give $200 extra, he gets nothing. He doesn't get field. That's given away already. That's what we would have thought. We would have thought then, and therefore the father had to spell it out to say, well, you'll get in field, you'll get in the original fields. So Gemara, so it was in this marshal. In the fields that he'll get. The question is, does he get field A in the other two fields? That's what he said in the Mishnah. He said he gets nothing. In this marshal here, he'll get something in that third field. He just won't get anything in the first two fields. So the marshal is not accurately presents what he said in the Mishnah. In the Mishnah, it seems he gets nothing. Not only he gets nothing. So therefore, we would thought he gets nothing. And the reason why the father spells it out to make sure he gets in every part. He'll get in Eretz Gilad, he'll get in Eretz. In the marshal, it seems that the only reason why the father had to repeat it is regarding the original two fields, not regarding the third field. That'll get anyway. But whether we get a share in the first two fields or not. Because you would have thought if he doesn't get $200, he gets nothing in those fields. But in our Mishnah, it seems that he gets nothing anywhere. Like Kasha, the name after Meir, our Mishnah before Meir responded. But once Meir responded that the word B'Soichem already tells us he gets a share, then what do you call it? The Nechazu. So now we say, okay, you're right. You'll get in the old one, and we have to talk about the new places. Now we're going to go through a number of questions. The Meir holds that we don't infer things, and the Ted has to spell it out. And according to everything we infer. The whole part of Rav Gamliel is that things make sense. In other words, Miklal Lav Ata Shemehein, Miklal Hein Shemei Lav. In other words, we can make inferences. We don't need to spell it out. So we're going to bring a number of cases here where it seems the Torah decided to spell it out, and we want to know why. Maybe we understand why. Everything has to be delineated. But according to Rabbi Chaim Gamliel, why? Says the Gemara, Bishleim in this week's parsha, interesting today where we learn this Breishis. Bishleim Meir Hein of Siva. The Abishah tells Cain, and he says to Cain, Im Teitiv, if you'll do well, say you'll get rewarded. The Im Light Teitiv, if you don't do well, if you don't do the right thing, La Pesach Chatas Reifus, to your entrance, it will be a Chatas is lying there, you'll be able to sin. What do you have to spell it out for? Obviously, if you don't do good, you won't get any rewards, and you'll be doing sinning. According to why have to spell it out? According to me, we understand the Torah does not rely on inferences. You have to spell it out. According to Rab Chanina, why did the Torah spell it out? Says Gemara, I'll tell you why. And this is the whole gang of the Gemara, and that is as follows. What is the opposite of good? Is the opposite of good bad, or is the opposite of good not good? It doesn't have to be bad. Even if it's not bad, if it's not good, it's the opposite of good. And that's going to be the entire, every Makshan Tats is asking. So Gemara answers back, no. The opposite of good is bad. But if the Torah would not have spelled it out, I would have said, well, if you're good, okay. And if you're not good, even if you're not bad, it doesn't mean you'll be bad, but it's not good, it's already the opposite. Like this. Something I would have thought, if you're good, you'll get a reward. You don't get a reward, nothing else. Kamash, one have to spell it out. In other words, according to the Makshan, automatically there's not good, it's bad. According to the Tartsin, there's three levels. There's good, there's bad, and there's something in between, neutral. So the Torah has to spell out that bad. Again, Bishlem, but I may say Avram Avinu told Eliezer. He said, I don't want you to take from my son Yitzchak a daughter from Canaan. And he said, I'm making you swear. You cannot take them, but if you go there and they refuse to give you, Oz to knock him Allah, say you will be cleansed from this Shavua when you go back home. And then he says, and if you go and they don't give you, you are clean from my Shavua. So that's why I had to spell it. He made him swear, and then he said, if they don't, you're clean. You had to spell it out. Why do you have to spell it out if not you're clean? Obviously, if they don't want to say it, then there's no Shavua anymore. Yitzchak, we need it. I would have thought this. What happened? She's happy to marry Yitzchak, but her family doesn't want her to marry Yitzchak. Maybe Avraham says, kidnap her. Take her along. No, I want her and the family to approve of this proposal. And then it says further, Avraham said, and the woman doesn't want to go, you're clean from my shua. So the second time he says, you're clean from shua. What do you need this for? Yitzchak, we need it. I would have thought, what happened all the way around? The family is very happy to marry into Avraham Avinu's family, but she doesn't want to. Nice about Kocha, we should take her even if it's against her will. Kamash Shalom, that no. So the purpose of the Torah writing it is not to teach you that you're clean from the shul if it doesn't work out. That we know automatically, we can infer. It's the conditions. What I want her and the family to be interested. And Rashi says a pedagogic thing, which Trace Hashem disagree. Rashi says if he would not have duplicated the Tanai, if we would not have duplicated the Tanai, we would say that we would know anyway that if the family doesn't want to doesn't agree, whatever it is, so you're clean from the shua, and Rashi seems to be saying your daughter then is able to marry Yitzchak. Look at the Torah, it says clearly he doesn't want anybody from this Canaan. They're not good people. According to Rashi, it's only first attempt. Let's try to get family. If it doesn't work, then we'll talk about the shit between you and me. Telling about it further, it says in Pasuk, and if you don't want to, it says in Pasuk, sorry, we did it already. If you follow my rules, you get all the rewards. If you despise my rules, then you'll get punished. According to Mary, you got to spell it out. You can't just automatically assume if you don't follow, you get punished. It's we need again. I would have thought it's a third category. Neutral. That's also the opposite of good. Kamashalon comes to teach you no. Comes to teach you that has spelled you'll be punished. Not just you won't get rewarded, you'll be punished. The Navi says to them, if you'll be good and you'll listen, you'll eat the best of the land. And if you avoid it, and then you will rebel against me, then you'll eat swords. So you have to spell it out again. Okay, why spell it out? It's obvious. If you don't do the right thing, you'll get punished. Eats if we need it. Something I would have thought. Im taivu taiva. If you will listen, you'll get good. But in timanu like taiva later. So they see the same hiluch. The Gemara continues the same direction. There's either good or bad, and there's a third, and the answer always is a third category, which also can be considered the opposite of good. The opposite of good doesn't have to be not only bad. The opposite of good can be not good. It doesn't have to be bad. Like the opposite of sweet. Is it sour or unsweet? Not sour and not sweet. What is the opposite of sweet?
All these cases were including the neutral case in the Mishnah. We were including the opposite.
In the Mishnah, there's no neutral there. I'm giving you a get. If you give me $200, so there's no third possibility. It's either it's a valid get or it's not a valid get. Giving a little saying here that you don't have to. In that case, if you wouldn't have spelled it out in the Mishnah, we would have thought if you go to war, you'll get a chelik in Gilad. If you don't go to war, that you won't get a chelik in Gilad, and nor will you get a chelik in Yisrael. But there's nothing in between. Okay, that's how Rashi is by the whole Gemara. Is a little different way. Let's continue. Commercial. Now, what do you mean you'll eat swords? What does that even mean? The top of the page, Omar Rav says, what's he saying? Milcha galanisa, you're going to eat this thick salt, nama de sare, and this bread made out of barley, akushi, which is very tough, ubitzali with onions, and amamar, pas, purni charev, if you eat this kind of bread, which is dry, the melech with this thick salt, ubitzali, and with onions, koshim leguf kacharavas, it feels like knives are plunging into you. That's what the pasuk means. Okay, then we're going to continue. We're going to continue along the same theme. Now we're going to ask a supporting proof to it says the pasuk by a woman who's allegedly had an affair with somebody. So it says in the pasuk here, and the claim makes a swear in im loy shachav ish, a person that you do not have a relation with anybody, and the im loy sotis, if he didn't do anything wrong, you didn't commit adultery. Then then you are clean from this the water here. So and doesn't say anything else. That's all it says. It says if you're not, then you're clean. Doesn't say, but if you are guilty, the water is going to destroy you in that pasuk. According to Rab Meir, everything has to be spelled out. The pasuk obviously leaves up to your imagination, and if you're lying, then it's going to affect you. But according to Rab Meir, shouldn't spell it out. Rab Meir, according to the mayor, should have said, and if you did something wrong, it's going to strangle you, it's going to kill you. Says the Gemara, it should have said v'im shachav, and if you did commit adultery, then chinaki, this is going to put an end to your life. So Gemara, even though it says in the Torah hinaki, you are clean, but it's written without a yud. Normally a naki should be with a yud. Why is it without a yud? To read it two ways. Hinaki, clean, but if you did commit adultery, then chinaki, as if it says chinaki, you'll end your life. So therefore, it's as if it's written there. Therefore, that makes sense why the yud is missing, to teach you what happens if you did commit adultery. But according to Chanin and Gamliel, what do you need the hinaki without the yud for? According to Gamliel, we just infer if you did not commit adultery, then everything's all right. So obviously, if you did commit adultery, it's not all right. What do you have to even darshan for? So the Gemara eats it, we need it. Salkiva, I would have thought, if you were innocent, then hinaki, then the water is not going to affect you. Although the im shachav, but if you did commit adultery, lo yinaki, v'lo chinaki. Now what? I would have thought, okay, you did a terrible aveda, but that's it. That's where it ends. The water might not affect you, but nobody will kill you. So that's why the Torah has to write the word hinaki without a you to tell you it's much worse than that. It's not just you did an aveda, the water actually is going to have its adverse effect. Kamashvalah. Continue again. We're following the logic. The principle is, according to Meir, we don't make any inferences. We have to spell it out. According to Rav Gamliel, we work with inferences. So it says if somebody touched a dead body, he has 7 days to become clean. Then he gets this ashes paraduma on day number 3 and day number 7. So according to Meir, it makes sense. Kind of says on the pasuk, "Who is chata boy? You will be cleansed by yom hashlisha on the 3rd day, by yom hashvi on the 7th day. You'll be turned." Then the pasuk says, "Im lo is chata." If you don't do it on the 3rd and 7th day, then lo yitter. What do you have to spell it out for? Meir says because the Torah always has to spell it. But according to Rab Chanina, we make inferences. Well, if it says in the pasuk, the third and seventh day you become Torah. So obviously, if you don't do the third and seventh day, then you're not Torah. Why do I have to spell it out? I need it. I would have thought mitzvahs hazor b'shlishi ub'shvi. I would have thought it's a mitzvah to do it on the third and seventh day. And maybe, but if he did only one of them, but the Eved is good enough. So therefore, the Torah has to spell it out. Kamash v'lan. The Torah has to spell out. No, it has to be the third and seventh day. Otherwise, it's no good. Then the Pasuk says, "He's a hatoir ala tomei." No, if there's a third possibility, then the Chanigim agrees you have to spell it out. If it's an other possibility, yes or no, that's it. It's binary. Whenever it's binary, you tell us one, we know the other one. The moment there's another variable that can be included, you have to spell it out. So the Pasuk, "He's a hatoir ala tomei." The Torah should sprinkle it on the tummy by Yom HaShlishi on the third day, by Yom HaShvi on the seventh day, and Nalachayda Lambali. What do you need it for? What do we have to spell out for now? We already know what has to be done. And there's not a question on Chanin, it's a question on everybody. We already know what has to be done. Itzich. I would have thought, Shlishi Lemute Sheni. I would have thought that the third day means, but don't do it on the second day, because you need 3 days from when you became Tameh before we can sprinkle it. Shvi Lemute Shishi. That what? And the seventh day also means, but not the sixth day. Okay, again, we need you to have a certain gap, a certain space between the baby became tummy. You got to wait 3 days for the third sprinkle. You got to wait another 4 days for the second one. The comment might be tiny. Trying to reduce the number of days of Tara, that's no good. What about if you did the third day, then you did the eighth day? The kamafik be made Tara. What's wrong with that? I had my minimum of 4 days, and I did longer. A woman is after 7 days. The mitzvah to travel bisman, but if you wait a few more days, a mashapa dummy. Kamash we have to spell it out. That's why I try to spell out the third and seventh day, even though we already know it's the third and seventh day. And then checking what it says the chitay by yom hashvi lumberly. Why do you have to spell out that you cleanse him on the seventh day? It's needed. Salkan, I would have thought hani milu lekachim. I would have thought with kachim you have to follow this prescription, third and seventh day and all that. Avol truma, when it comes to truma, maybe the first day. As long as the third day sprinkle truma is a lesser level of kedusha, maybe that's one sprinkle on the third day is good enough. So therefore, b'chad namisag it was enough. Kamashlan that no